coming. I'm Molly Starback from the Office of Postdoctoral Services, and today is the fourth and final session in our F32 award series. Susie's excited. So you can find resources for F32 and videos of the prior sessions on the F32 website, which I'm not going to spell out the URL, but you can keep going if you don't know it already. And today we're welcoming Susan Lasley, who is the Associate Director for the Duke Office of Research Support. She's going to tell us about the very important details of how exactly to submit your F32 application through Duke and through NIH. And as you're probably all aware, the devil is truly in the details, and I'm sure Susan can tell you horror stories, and I can tell you horror stories of people who've had their applications turned down because they've used the wrong font size or whatever it is. So, Susan, we're very glad to have you here today.
Good morning. I guess, so part of, what the introduction is, I am with the Office of Research Support. So what does that mean? I'm in the Central Preaward office for the university campus, and I realized last time there were several people from the School of Medicine side. So I guess I would just like to start with how many people here are on the campus university side? Raise your hand. Okay, yeah, a couple of people. So I will automatically think in terms of campus policy and procedure. The School of Medicine, you guys will need to work with Office of Research Administration. It's the sister office in Irwin Square where ORS is located. We're on the 7th floor. ORA, School of Medicine Preaward office, is on the 8th floor. We have a lot of interactions between each other, and we're starting to do, trying to do joint training sessions. So again, I will automatically go with my mindset of campus and try to remind myself as we go through this that the School of Medicine ORA, they have a slightly different process. One being that in ORS, we need to see the proposal routed 5 business days before the due date. School of Medicine ORA, they like to see the proposal routed 7 business days before the due date. But it's the same, we're talking about NIH F32, so it's the same rules and regulations, apply. But just, sort of, I like to just sort of put that out up front, that it's very similar, but there might be some distinctions. How many people have submitted an F32 before? Okay, very good. Has anyone submitted an F31? So that's the grad student fellowship. Okay, that's fine. I'm just sort of trying to get an idea of sort of the experience working with the Duke systems, the NIH systems. Doesn't really matter. Just curious. So for the F32 postdoc fellowship, it is a very specific process and format. And for those that are not familiar, these are sort of your basic systems that you're going to go through, that you're going to use in order putting your proposal together, and sort of the point of contacts. Department grant manager. This is a very, 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 very important person. And we'll go into a little bit of a little more detail with that later. But the grant manager you will need to contact once you've decided, made a decision on the solicitation, how you want to proceed, because there are a couple of deadlines. And so you'll want to make sure that the grant manager has the information so that she can assist with her part of the proposal preparation. And specifically, the grant manager is going to be working in SPS, Sponsored Project System. So all proposals are entered into this, we can call it a database for lack of a better description. All proposals are listed or entered into this, and the grant manager will enter the information, and she'll need some, or you will need some basic information like the solicitation, the FOA, project dates, things like that. And then ERA comments, well, we'll skip ERA comments. We'll talk about grant stuff next. And this is basically where you will work or spend most of your time. You will not be, you do not need to be concerned about SPS. Grant manager has that covered for you. So you'll want to think of Grants.Duke. This is going to be the portal you go to. Now, you will not have access to it until the grant manager has gone into SPS and marked your proposal using system to system. And then all of a sudden, you go into Grants.Duke, and there's your proposal. When you submit the proposal, it goes to, it streams to grants.gov. So this is the portal that all the federal agencies use. So all proposals going to federal agencies land at grants.gov. So we have, at Duke, we have a system to system so that we work with our system and it sends it to grants.gov. Some institutions, you need to use the grants.gov applicant package and submit it directly to grants.gov. But at grants.gov, the proposal is electronically reviewed. So no one's opening up the proposal package, looking at any of your information. It's just an electronic filter. And it says, oh, you've missed this. You're missing this document. This is not correct, or you have too many pages, and it will be bounced back. It's rejected without review, basically, but it never even gets to NIH. And so once it lands at grants.gov safely, ERA Commons will come along and retrieve it electronically. And when Commons retrieves it, it goes through another review. And again, it's not like somebody is opening up the packet and reviewing the contents. It's an electronic filter, making sure everything's there. Things like Commons, the Commons name. If it's missing, incorrect, doesn't match up, it's a typo. A common mistake with that is it's transposed. So, it could be like Susan 01, and I could have entered it as Susan 10. It will bounce back immediately. So again, it's a filter. It goes through electronically to look to make sure all the pieces are there and everything matches up. We'll also look to make sure that the Commons account you're using is associated with a PI account. So maybe you have a Commons account currently, but it's a postdoc account. You'll need to let the central office know that you need the PI role added to your Commons account. And another sort of FYI with the Commons accounts, this really should be the only Commons account you ever have. It should follow you throughout your career. It can change institutions. If you receive an appointment at another university, another institution, your Commons account will follow you to that new place. Makes sense? So also, if you had a Commons account as a grad student or an undergrad, it will follow you through your career. NIH, sort of a side note, but NIH is very concerned and it really wants to track the career of the scientist. So they really like to see, the growth from, undergrad to grad to postdoc, the tenure rank, and, full professor and everything. So, just a FYI. Okay, and this, as I was describing earlier, the SPS and the Grants.Duke merge together, and the information is streamed to grants.gov. And once landing safely at grants.gov, Commons will retrieve it and pick it up. The institutes at NIH. So one of the things that you'll want to start thinking about is which institute do you want to submit to? So you'll look at the FOA, the Funding Opportunity Announcement, and you'll see all the institutes that accept F32 applications. And you're looking at it, many years ago, many years ago, multidiscipline research was sort of the buzzword. Everybody wanted to get into it. Now it's pretty common. Everybody's sort of doing multidiscipline research. And so you're looking at this and you're thinking, yeah, but my research can go into 2 different institutes, maybe 3 different institutes. So what do? How would you know which one to select?
See where they found it before.
Okay, that's good.
See one has the highest funding level.
Okay. all good answers. I mean, I'm not, this isn't a test. But you can check all of this by going to, these are actual links in the FOA. So when you open the FOA, you'll see all these institutes, and they have links. So you can go to their website, and you can look at, sort of their mission, what they're interested in. They have points of contact. You can get in touch with the named individual point of contact at that institute. It's all good. I mean, all those things are things that you really do want to consider. And then just making sure that this is a good fit. But, maybe you contact them and they say, yeah, you could submit to this institute, or here's another one that you might want to consider. What do? Cover letter. Let NIH know that you would like the other institute to also be considered, maybe a secondary review. But use the cover letter. And of course, here is the FOA, the number, the 14149. And this is also what you want to give your grant manager. Because the first thing he or she will ask is like, okay, you want to submit a proposal, sponsor, NIH, solicitation, or FOA. Because they want to start looking at it to see if there's anything unique that there might be a concern. Just recently, in both ORA and ORS, we were submitting to NIH large equipment, and there were very specific documents, and so we were all sort of trying to help PIs gather those documents. So again, your grant manager is a really good resource. So contacting this person early is very, very helpful. They can help you with a lot of things. And then, of course, part of the next is reading the details. It's as Molly mentioned, it is truly it's the details. The devil is in the details. So that we need to make sure that is the eligibility, the citizenship eligibility, is that an issue? Some people will submit an F32 while they are just finishing up their grad studies, and that's fine. You can do it. As long as by the time the award arrives that the PhD degree is in effect. When do we submit? And I just love it when NIH goes with standard dates. It's like, yeah, but what's a standard date? How do we find out? But again, this is all, NIH has a very good website. And so, as you can see, for the F series, whether it's F31, diversity, or the F32, the standard dates are April 8th, August 8th, and December 8th. Depending on where you are with your writing, you might be aiming for an August 8th, or you might be very early at this stage, and you might say, yeah, but if I really want a good proposal, I'd better go for December 8th. And, okay, so if the due date is August 8th, let's get back. And so here, we're in cycle 2. December 8th is cycle 3. And so then you want to look at your earliest project start date. So if you're in cycle 2, it's April. If it's in cycle 3, it's July. Why does it matter? It's because the amount of money you can request is dependent upon the number of years you've completed the postdoc services. So if you're that grad student that's submitting so that by the time they receive their PhD, they will have completed 0 years. And for NIH, there's no part, there's no like 1.3, like 1 year and 3 months. You can only do 1 year then. And that will be your, and what I'm talking about now is the level of stipend support. The other point is if you know the scientific review, the scientific merit review and advisory council round, you can go back into comments at any time and look at your account to see that, you'll see the receipt date and you'll see the merit review, and you will also see when the council will be meeting. You can start getting in touch. You can start looking for the documents. Hopefully, you're going to be looking for an award notice. And you can find the point of contact for each of those sessions. You can even, for the merit and council, you will also see the attendees who's part of that review process.
Yeah. Do you have to be part of the ORS or ORA? Like, do you have to be in the system before you can see the application, or can you see the application first before you like bother anybody to like apply? I guess.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand.
Can we actually look at the application before we're in the whole system of, like, before you had said you need to key for the SPS, and then you need to like contact the person to say you're going to submit something? Is there any way to actually see the application before you commit and like contact somebody at Duke to like say you want to submit this?
No, you cannot. And let me repeat just to make sure I'm covering what you're asking. So there's nothing in the system until you go to the grant manager and say, I'm interested in submitting my proposal, and I'm wanting to go with the August 8th. And so the grant manager will start working in SPS to create it.
Okay, so you can't see like any of the questions or anything they want from you? Like, you can't prepare beforehand, you know what I mean? Like,
sure. So when you look at the FOA, the funding opportunity announcement, they're going to tell you exactly what you need to include. It's very detailed. And when you read through it, and if you have questions, the grant manager might be able to help you because they've probably worked with several others before. You might speak with your advisor, somebody that has other experience, or you can speak with someone in the central office, ORA or ORS. And we will definitely try to keep you steered in the right direction. We don't want to, you spend a lot of time trying to I'm not sure what they're asking me to do. I don't know, what I need to do at this point. They're asking for a relevant statement. It's like relevant, that's huge. It's such a vague term. What does it mean? And the FOA provides a description, but if that's not enough, if that's not sufficient, then contact someone, grant manager, mentor, central office, and we can guide you through that. So that's, I guess, I'm sorry, but the FOA tells exactly page limits, font sizes, anything like that that's going to be a requirement. Some things are 30 lines, no more, no less. Some are 2 to 3 sentences. The federal agencies, the money is tight. So this is a way, it's sort of tough love. Yeah, this is the beginning of, sort of independent career, and NIH view it as can't read the instructions, we're done. And so that's why it's really, really important to take that FOA, print it off if that's what you need to do. I do that when it's a new type of solicitation I've not reviewed before. I print that FOA off and I use my yellow highlighter, and I make sure that I'm looking for every, the details, what's needed, what's required, page limits, font limits. They're getting much stricter about all of the proposal submissions. And I do believe most of the federal agencies will use, whether it's the F32, which is postdoc fellowship, the Defense Department has a YIP, Young Investigator Award. It's the same thing. You know, it's just called something slightly different, but they have it, and they're very strict on making sure the applicant is abiding by all the instructions. So I always call it, the tough love. It's, they want you to be successful, but there are so many people out there, great ideas. So meet all the administrative requirements, page limits, font sizes, anything like that, so that they will spend time looking at your science. So your grant manager and your central office, we're great at helping you get through the administrative hurdle. We will even go into, if you let us know, we will look at grants.duke and look at your documents. See, are they meeting the requirements? Are you exceeding page limits? Because we want you to be able to have that opportunity to have your proposal reviewed, the scientific merit of it. That's where, we can't help you with that. Anything else? Yes.
Susan, does ORA or ORS have examples of successful applications with templates you can use?
We do not. I don't know about ORA, I'm sorry. I do know that if people are interested in looking at a template or a sample, what we will do in ORS is we'll look for the most recent awards, and then we will contact that person and say, would you mind sharing, letting us use your proposal as an example. It's usually not an issue of budgets, where with other proposals, it's pretty sensitive. But for the fellowships, it's pretty, it's a basic, here's the amount that you can receive for a stipend, here's the amount you can receive, institutional support for insurance and things like that. But what you're looking for, I would imagine, is the science. How is it written? And, we can help find somebody willing to share that. A lot of people yes, I was successful. Look at mine. And there are, I cannot remember the success rate for the F32s. I can look for that and send it to you if you'd like. But it takes a lot, and it's not unusual for someone to not receive funding the first time through. But, so, we just want to do everything we can so that your proposal will move forward, be reviewed. Hopefully it will be funded. If not the first time, hopefully the second time. Okay, so begin writing. So if you're looking for a cycle 1, then you would wait until January maybe to start writing. But this is where, if you're going for the August 8th, you could, start writing. It's May, you could start writing. Unfortunately, we're getting close to the end of May, but it doesn't matter. You could already have thought about this before. I know there are times when I'm thinking of, I've got to do something, and I'll go out for a run, and I've got some good ideas, and I go back to work and start implementing. You might be doing the same thing. Maybe you've not officially committed, but you've been thinking mentally. You're almost there. You're pretty much committed. And then August would be the submission, and the earliest possible start date is April. And this is because of all the reviews it goes through. Scientific, council reviews, it all takes time. So sometimes I've gone to a conference, and federal agencies are there. And, a lot of university administrators are there, faculty are there. And, we're talking with the agencies, and we're saying, yes, but, it takes us so long to get policies and procedures updated at the institution level when the federal agencies are asking for changes, and the federal agencies will always laugh and say, you think things move slow at the schools? It moves at a glacier speed at the federal agency. And so as you can see, it takes quite a bit of time for them to finally let you know that, the funding is going to take place. Of course, the dollars. This is, a lot of what you're looking for. As I said, you have to look at years of completed experience. So again, if you were that grad student submitting, then you've completed 0. And again, we don't have, NIH does not allow for partial years. So you can't have like 2.5 years. It would just be 2 years. And then you get to the 3 and the 4. But as you can see, and this is what the grant manager wants to know, because this is how they will be creating your budget, because you do want to. If you've completed 3 years and you're at the 49,152, then the grant manager needs to know that for the next year, your budget should be the 51,120. Because we want to, give you all the available funds that NIH can provide. And then, of course, it will be broken down on the monthly stipend. And it will run through Duke, so the taxes will be taken. Okay, so in addition, that's the stipend rate. There is an institutional allowance that NIH provides. And these are some of the items that that allowance can pay for. And a lot of times, it's the health insurance. It's always a big one. And then usually after health insurance, it's sort of whatever is you need for your project. Maybe your project is to go to another site, so you might need travel dollars. Maybe it's to maintain a certification and you need to attend a conference or a workshop or something. And then there is also some money available for the tuition, and that is for required coursework to maintain a certification, or for people that are involved with a dual program. Everything's a team approach. Whereas we do everything as a team. We meet every day for an hour, talk, make sure everybody's on board. It's also a team, in the department, working with the grant manager. Like I said, the grant manager is going to be really important to help you work with, to get the proposal submitted. All the documents are loaded, making sure your comments account is correct. Making sure that they can get started in SPS so that you can then start immediately working in Grants.Duke, loading some documents. Some of the questions. Okay, so we saw August 8th was one of the deadlines. Okay, so what do you do when it's August 8th, but you're really not going to be around August 8th. You're going to go see your little brother's birthday. And so you're going home to visit the family and wish your little brother a happy birthday. So what do you do? Grants.Duke is web-based. You can submit that proposal from anywhere. I've worked with some where they submitted from, they had a little solar satellite, and they submitted from sort of the Amazon rainforest. I felt bad for them. It was rough, making sure they had enough sunlight to get that process. But you can submit from anywhere. There's not a reason that you have to do this from your Duke lab. From your Duke office. If you are out of town, you can still submit. Or if you would feel like this is vacation, yes, go ahead.
How much lead time does the grant office need before the 8th deadline with the submission?
Okay, so for the School of Medicine, they need to see the SPS entry routed 7 days before the due date. And on the campus side, we need to see that SPS entry routed 5 days before the due date. So in ORS, I can tell you that we look every day at SPS to look at the queue. How many proposals are headed our way and when are they due? So that we can make sure we've got everything covered. And if it's the August 8th and there are 15 fellowships out there, then we might, and they're like, just on the campus, I'd say biology, chemistry, and sociology, and we want to start helping our colleagues within our office and say, okay, I'll take some of those proposals so that we have everything covered. We will review SPS, and then if you want, as a fellow, if you want us in the central office to review your grants.due documents, let us know. We will review them. But we need to know it ahead of time, a couple of days before you want to release it.
So what do you check at the first place, basically, when we submit the documents to you? What do you look at it?
Okay, so in ORS, I can tell you that we go into SPS and we're looking to make sure that your solicitation is entered correctly, because if not, it's going to bounce back as an error. We're going to look to see that you are listed as PI fellow and not the faculty PI slot. There is a distinction because once submitted, the PI fellow will actually, in the system, because it's electronic, it will flip and it will become PI. So we want to make sure everything's loaded correctly so that when it's streamed, submitted, everything lands where it's supposed to. So that we want to look at your abstract summary, that it's meeting the requirements, that your narrative is meeting the 2 to 3 sentences. We want to make sure it meets that. We want to look at, is your proposal, have you said, yes, grant manager, I'm actually going to be working with vertebrate animals. So we want to make sure that it's checked in SPS. And the budget, we'll look to see, with that stipend level, we don't want just random numbers thrown in there. We want the stipend levels. We want to make sure that we also, grant manager also includes the allowance on a separate line for you. So we're looking for all that, because once it gets to grants.due, it's all set. It's sort of like a decision tree. It's a fellowship. We're going to have all these documents preloaded for you so that you'll understand where it needs to go. So those are the things that we're looking at in SPS. And then, if you let us know, with time, you want us to look at the grants.due documents, we can go in and start looking at it. And again, that's when we're going to start looking at bio sketches, that your mentor information is there, the training information is there, that it's meeting all the requirements. But at the end, when everything's done, we say everything looks good, and we'll send an email saying, checked all your documents, this looks good, but maybe you might want to change document, whatever. And we'll give a reason so that you understand. It's not like, oh, it doesn't look right. It's like, what doesn't look right? It's like, is it completely wrong? Is it just missing a little section in it? Something like that.
And then is it going to submit through the Duke or just by us?
You will submit your proposal. I'll show you in a few minutes. But when you're in grants.due, there is a check button. Always hit the check button and it will tell you if there's any problems. It's not a complete check. It does not check page limits. It will tell if there's a missing document, like you say, your proposal will use the use of human subjects, but you have not attached any documents on the selection, how the human subjects will be used, the purpose of that. Then it will tell you there's an error because you've marked it as yes for human subjects, but you haven't attached any documents explaining the enrollment and things like that. So then once you check yes and there's no check and it's no errors, then there's another sort of tab that says release. And when you release, you confirm that you want it released, and it goes to grants.gov.
I have a question about eligibility. So during the submission time, should be a permanent resident or when the award is approved?
I'm sorry?
So during the submission time for the F32, the person should be citizen or the permanent resident or when the award is approved. So there is few months between them, yeah?
So when the proposal is submitted and the award,
So there is a difference between when you apply for the F32 and when you receive it. So can we, as a non-resident, apply for the F32 and because if we are in the process of getting permanent resident, and then during the review time, we became permanent resident, and when the award is approved, we can get the award. Can we do that?
You have to
Yes.
be a citizen when you apply, that's
When
what you're
apply.
asking, yeah.
yes, and
What about for the permanent resident? If you apply, if you are processing your permanent residence applying, you're applying now, but you haven't got the answer yet, but you're also submitting your grant to the NIH. So can we do that?
yes. Yes. But at the, before award, at JIT, they are going to ask for documentation.
What kind of documentation do they ask? For example, EAD card is enough to show your permanent residency, or they ask the green card, actually?
I don't know. I do not remember the last time I encountered that. And it might be that the institution certifies, that we say, yes, that we have that. And so then it's really a question of, you have to provide that for Duke.
I just looked it up. F32 citizen verification. By the time of the award, individuals must be citizens or non-citizen nationals,
Or lawfully admitted
Yeah.
permanent residents.
i.e. possess a currently valid alien registration receipt card, I-551, or other legal verification of such status.
It works then. If you have the green card without having a green card, then you will apply.
Yeah. But I think it's right here in FAQ, so you can just Google it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I didn't have all of that in that one slide, I thought I did. But it's at time of award, we have to provide documentation. And, it has been a while since I've seen that, so I don't know. I cannot remember if I sent a copy of something to NIH or if it was something that I assured NIH that we have that in place for you. Again, the Commons account, as you're talking with the grant manager, making sure that you have the PI role, not just a postdoc role or previously a grad student role, because now, anytime you're a faculty advisor has an NIH project, an award, and they submit their RPPR, their progress report, then everybody working on that project has to have a Commons account. From the undergrad to the postdoc, everyone has to have a Commons account. So we just have to make sure that your Commons account truly reflects the PI role. And so if you do not have a Commons account and we request one for you, it's fine. It's easy to do. It only takes me maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes if you want to count the login time at Commons. And it's not a lot of information. I just need to know last name, first name, and what the account that you need. If you have an account already, but it's as a postdoc, then just let me know to add PI to your account. And that's very easy to do. But if you have a brand new account that we create so that you can submit, then you'll always need to be sure and update your personal profile. So in the central office, we create the account, but it's a two-step process. The second step is entirely up to you. You have to update the personal profile to complete your account information, to complete the account activation. So I was working with a PI yesterday. She was submitting her RPPR, her non-compete proposal, and she hit the check on it to make sure everything was there, and she got a list of errors because she has grad students listed that do not have commons accounts. So NIH is very wanting, this again, it goes back to that issue of NIH really wanting to see the development of the next generation of scientists. They want to see, your progression. And so they're really pushing and insisting that everyone have commons accounts. Any questions? You got one? No? Okay. So, and I was helping a faculty member update his personal profile because he had a commons account, but he had not done anything with it. As the electronic world has progressed, at one point, I think the only thing you had to do with your personal profile was enter your current employer. So you have to put in Duke University. And that's about all he did in the past. And so it was still showing up that his primary point, his primary place of employment was, I believe it was UCLA. And that was when he was in grad school and then when he was a postdoc there. And since then he had gone to Brookings, he'd gone to other places. And so I was trying to help him go through all of this. It gets a little bit of information that they're looking for. And so it's just go ahead and spend a little bit of time updating and you're good. And this is a screenshot of the ERA Commons. And on this, you can find your, you can actually find your proposal, your submitted proposal. And it is under the status. Click on status, and then you can do general search. Just plug in your last name, hit search, and you'll find your proposal, and then eventually you will find your award notice there as well. And this is also where you can go and you will see the review committees. And Breadstuff Duke. So for Breadstuff Duke, you just go to the website. It's a it's through the Research Application Development team developed this for Duke. They've done a great job with it. It's nice and it's sort of like a point, click, and attach a PDF. That's about all you have to do. But you use your NetID to log in. And then you will find your proposal. This is sort of a fake proposal that we created for this purpose. And you'll want to go to edit. And you click on edit, and of course, you'll see your name and the solicitation, your title, things like that. And when you click on edit, this pops up. And again, all of this information at the top, that is pulled from SPS. So that's sort of like sort of the backbone. So it's going to show project dates, your title, the type of activity, the human subject, vertebrate animals, if anything like that is selected, it will all be there. And when you're in, you can click on the button at the top and you can minimize, you can close all of that, so the only thing you're really going to be looking at is your attachment section. And it's a lot. But understand that if you have said no to human subjects, then what do you attach for human subject for the slot for human subject documentation? Nothing. Yes. So if it doesn't apply, ignore it. You do not have to put something in like human subjects not used or vertebrate animals not used. You don't have to, you just skip it. You don't have to waste time attaching a PDF that says does not apply. What you do want to do is make sure that if in research strategy, this is going to be more the bulk of the science. If they are saying that you need to address a specific issue or concept, then what you want to do is include something. Don't just skip it. You'll want to, maybe you'll put a header for whatever that concept is and just put none at this time, or something so that NIH, the reviewers, recognize, oh, this person read the instructions. They know that something needs to be here, but they don't have anything yet, and that's fine. But if you don't at least address it as not, some way, whether it's none at this time or whatever text you want to use, that you haven't just skipped it and forgot to include the information. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. And again, you'll want to go through the FOA and start looking at resource sharing plan. What is NIH looking for that? Concurrent support, anything like that. But it's all pretty detailed within the FOA. It's a big document. Like I said, for me, I'd be printing that thing off and I'd be using a big highlighter. Just depends on how you want to approach it. And here we go into the website for the instructions and how to apply. Apply and register. So registering does not apply. Duke is registered. The only thing that we need to make sure is that you have a Commons account. That's the only thing we want to make sure about. Due dates, mission policies, all of that. And then this is a shot of Breadstuff Duke again, and we've hit the screenshot of check, and it says proposal has not been centrally approved, which means it's still in ORS or ORA. We haven't completed our review yet. And until we complete it, you can't submit. And then again, it goes back to there's some problems with SPS, where it's, it wasn't designated as human subjects or vertebrate animals or something. So then you see that and you're like, oh darn, I forgot to let the grant manager know. So you let the grant manager know, they work with the central office, we'll make sure these things are corrected at SPS so that we can release it for your review. And then once you correct the errors, then you can hit the, beside the check is the release button. And so that's how the proposal is going to be submitted. And submit early. If proposals are submitted early, then there is a problem. Like I said, there's an electronic filter check at grants.gov, and there's another filter check at Commons. And so we're really good. We are watching these proposals as they go out the door, out the internet stream. And if there are errors, we want to grab those as quickly as possible, see what the error is, get it corrected, so we can allow for a resubmission. But it has to be done before the 5 o'clock deadline of August 8th. That's your submission date. Several years ago, we had a 2-day window to make corrections. That window is shut. If you are wanting to submit early, yes?
So when, so these are due on Mondays, So if you submit it over the weekend, it'll still go through those electronic checks and bounce back to you? Or would it not check it until Monday?
It's electronic, so it does not matter what day.
Okay.
Yes. And so when we know we've got a lot to do on that Monday, we will spend time on weekends checking, because we don't want to wait until Monday afternoon to start looking at it. It's like, we want to know early. Submit early, correct early, move forward. Yes?
How many days in advance we can submit to the system?
Usually, I have not encountered that problem. It's like, let go, let's submit it. Because I know all of your time is going to be spent on tweaking, massaging that science so it's phrased best way possible to get their interest in what you want to do. I don't blame you. But you can submit a month early, it will not matter, but you cannot submit after 5 o'clock of the due date. And again, so, go back to the birthday party. You want to go home, enjoy the birthday party with your family. You don't have to worry about this. Once you leave and get on the airplane and head home, or get in the car and start driving home, you don't want to have to worry about this. Let your grant manager know that you want to submit early, so that they will put an early due date in SPS. And we in ORS will know, okay, the date is the 8th, but they want to submit early, and we honor that, and we will have our review done early, so that you can submit early. But let us know, because it's hard when we're thinking the due date is listed as the 8th, but you want to submit on the 5th because you want to go out of town. Then we have to scramble and put it, sort of queue it up in the line. We need to bump it up. Instead of waiting to the 8th, we want to bump it up in line to the 5th. Make sure, because if you want to submit on the 5th, we need to let you know by the 3rd or the 2nd if there are problems. Because if there are problems, you need time to be able to revise a document, do something differently. It might be that we see a problem and maybe you want to go to your advisor and say, they're telling me that, this is, missing. And you can ask your advisor, get some, input from them. And so we need to be able to give you a review, everything, the thumbs up, everything looks good, go ahead and release when you're ready. We need to do that a few days ahead of time so that you can do your last edits, sort of put it all back together, if there's any changes, so that you can submit. And that's why, the timing. Start early, work with your grant manager early, submit early. Early. That's the key. And usually for proposal submissions, it is always stressful. It's always frantic. People are trying to do their absolute best, I understand. And if somebody is waiting to do a final edit, the day it's due, the afternoon it's due, and they say, okay, I need to do one more thing. I have it ready for you by 1 o'clock. Well, 1 o'clock comes and it's still not, ready to go. Then we start in ORS. I'm going down. I'm checking with everybody. Okay, we've got these proposals due. What's the holdup? Why are they still lingering around? Because the closer it gets to 5 o'clock, the more stress it sort of starts building, because then we're also dealing with the electronic system. And what happens if you have a problem with your computer? ORS has if we have a problem, we can't, move it forward so that you can submit. Or you have a problem with your computer and you can't get onto the internet to log in and hit release. These things can occur. There are times when it's a large deadline, and grants.gov, we've got not only Duke, NC State, UNC, Emory, Wake Forest, Charlotte, everybody is submitting, and there's only so many doors. And we're all pounding on the grants.gov door, let my proposal in, but the door's small. And so as you get closer to 5 o'clock, there's a sort of the electronic traffic jam. So you'll see, when you hit the release, you'll see the little circle spinning and spinning and spinning because there's so much traffic jam there. So again, submit early. Submit early. If there are errors, they can be fixed. They're easy. I go in, I start looking to see exactly what was the error, make sure it's like, oh, okay, it's that commons name that was transposed. Okay, easy fix. Fix it, done, submit it. What if it's a missing document? Then we've got, another problem that might not be as easy. Again, grants.duke does not look for all errors. Page limits, spelling, formatting, required attachments. If you have worked with, when you were a grad student, if you had looked at NSF and you had submitted a dissertation proposal, you would realize that one of the big differences is NSF requires an inch margin on all 4 sides of the paper. NIH? Half inch, yes. Excellent. Half inch, so you can get more text on the documents for NIH. NSF likes that full inch margin. Again, if we're working together doing this early, then the pre-award offices, we can help look at your grants.duke documents. We're happy to do that. We're not going to read it. My reading it will not help you. But I can open it up and look, page limits, fonts, margins, anything like that. I can help with that. I'm not a scientist. You guys are, you are the scientists. I, am here to do what I can to help administratively so that your proposal can be reviewed on your scientific merit. I hate it, absolutely hate it when I see proposals rejected because, that's what I need to make sure that at least you're reviewed so that your proposal scientifically can stand and get comments. NIH will let you know there's an email will go out to ORAS to you as the PI saying that there's errors and it will not move forward for scientific review until the errors are corrected. And so that, again, we're looking for this. We want to make sure that your proposal is landed, no errors, and we can go into comments and look at the assembled package. And so again, the dues, always be sure and set enough time aside to write the grant, to read the instructions, all of that. Again, working with grant managers, they're working with other fellows, they're also working with the faculty. So there's a lot going on at the department level. And of course, give yourself time to get some feedback. And of course, those skip sections, all of that, you can do that. The mentor is important to help you develop. That's the whole point, with the advisor, the mentor is developing you into the next step of independent career. Feedback, and again, hopefully we have the award and a couple of things that you will need to do. And that is, there are a couple of forms that you would complete. Activation form, and payback loan form, who signs, we send it off, and eventually, once we have the activation form tells us when you will actually start the project. And then we set up a code, and your salary, your institutional allowance will all hit that, and that's where you will spend from. And then if you don't get funded, it's okay. There's value with that. You can go and read the reviewer comments so that the next submission, so maybe August, then you could submit in December. You could look at the reviewer comments and say, okay, this section was weak. They didn't understand how I was going to do it. you could really enhance it and submit a really great proposal the second time. And there is, like I said, the success rate, I think it's around 20%. I believe it's around that. So there's a lot of proposals that go out without the funding. Did you not receive funding the first time? There's no shame.
How many times we can apply for, if we reject it, how many times we can apply for it?
You can apply with a revised proposal, but then after that, as you look at the reviewer comments, then you might want to just consider, you might need to take it in a different direction. But as long as you're a postdoc, you can do that.
And what is the difference between F33 and K hours? Because you're saying that if you are independent investigator, you can apply for F33.
So if you have the 7 years of experience beyond, so after that you would want to start looking at the F33. So, and the K awards, that's for the like the KO1 and the F33 are very similar. But the KO1 is more of salary support, where the F series, it's stipend support. So it's really the relationship that you that you have with the institution. So at K, it's you're more or less Duke employee, and for the F series, it is the non-compensatory payroll non-Duke employee. And then some other links for fellowships and frequently asked questions and helpful. Questions? I'm sorry I ran over a little bit. I think I started talking too much. Didn't mean to do that. But thank you for your questions. Appreciate it. If you need to reach me, Office of Research Support, put my name in, you'll find me.
And if you have another day going, you can ask Susan more questions if you want to.